I'd like to introduce Pat from England, who takes LDN for ME. Thank you for joining me, Pat.
Not at all. Nice to talk with you. I mentioned to you I had ME diagnosed over 20 years ago. The cause was unknown. I think I probably had previous symptoms of immune dysfunction, like irritable bowel problems and various allergies and sensitivities. And then later I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme's disease about 10 years ago, so I think there may be a connection there. And more recently, chronic chlamydia pneumoniae, and there's a lot of interest growing in chlamydia pneumoniae and links with other chronic infections, in particular chronic Lyme's disease. So in my own case, I don't doubt at all there's a picture of chronic infection. There may also be a familial connection as well. My mother had severe rheumatoid arthritis, for example. Anyway, that's my clinical background.
What would you have said before you started LDN that your quality of life was on a score of 1 to 10?
Not easy to use such a scale. In the early days of the ME, my quality of life was very, very poor. 1, I think, out of 10, and then gradually I got better. And then I had periods of feeling quite normal, but then I get something challenges my immune system and I go down. I think my best period was about 5 or 6 years ago when I was on a long-term course of antibiotics. And I thought that had cured me. I was taking some LDN as well during the second half of that period, and it's impossible for me to judge how far the LDN was responsible.
Right.
And then I was doing quite well until last winter. I started getting chest infections and flu-type symptoms, and that knocked me back again.
How old were you,
It's been
Pat?
a fluctuating picture. How old am I now? Well,
how old were you when you started noticing?
Late 40s, I think.
Late 40s, okay.
So I said it was about 25 years ago.
Are you still taking LDN?
Yes, and I'm pretty certain it helped with my sleep. The sleep is a problem, as you know, with ME. How far it helped in other ways, I'm not clear. I've read the theory behind it, and it should help because it's supposed to boost natural killer cells, which are always low in laboratory studies of ME. What I'm not sure about is whether naltrexone can create sensitivities in people who have a tendency to chemical sensitivities. I don't know really what it's comprised of. I think naltrexone is morphine-based, for example.
No, it's not morphine. It's not morphine. It's the absolute opposite of morphine, isn't it?
Is it? And it has, that's interesting, and I don't know what the carriers are. It comes in some kind of liquid carrier, doesn't it?
Yes.
So whether there could be a problem there, I don't know. But yes, I've been taking it. I was first prescribed it, I think, in mid-2009. So I'd had the ME for a long time before then. And the doctor who prescribed it was getting good results with ME, by the way.
Yes.
With ME patients.
And are you managing to get it on the NHS now?
No, I go through your system. It's your Dr. Halbert, is it?
Right.
No, I pay for it. I don't think I've had anything very much on the NHS for this disease.
Did you have any introductory side effects? Because a lot of people with ME are very ultra-sensitive to all drugs and find they have to start on a very low dose.
When I had this kind of relapse in the last few months, starting in the winter, I was beginning to wonder, and I cut back from my 4.5, which was what my target was supposed to be, back to eventually to about 1 milliliter. and that was better. And then I think possibly I could build it up again.
Okay.
So I think, yes, there could be a sensitivity thing to be careful about there. As far as I'm aware, most MEs tend to be chemically sensitive.
Mm. What would you say?
You have found that with other MEs?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, big time. What would you say to other people with ME regarding LDN?
Well, I think the best I think I could say would be I would suggest that there's no harm in you looking at the website and finding out about it, because many MEs do seem to benefit from it if it's properly administered. And the underlying theory seems to be sound, and it should help a condition like ME, where we know we get consistent results that, for example, as I mentioned earlier, natural killer cells tend to be on the low side. And so there is a tendency for susceptibility to chronic infection. So it should help in theory. So I couldn't actually, it would be wrong, I think, to say take it. I think that I wouldn't be in a position to do that. I think a specialist should do that. But I think I would certainly recommend somebody with ME that they look into it and get specialist advice, because it strikes me as an extremely interesting form of therapy which may well help in their particular case. Does that answer the question?
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us.
That's a pleasure, isn't it?